Hello everyone, welcome back to Final Fantasy XIII, and last time we embarked on the quest for bigger numbers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, have we got some large numbers for you? There are a lot of 9s on this screen.
There are an awful lot of 9s on this screen, and I assure you that I 100% got them legitimately.
Totally legit. I especially like how Fang has exactly 10,000 HP.
Alright, so at this point, I have gone through and gotten everybody up to maximum rank 9 in everything. So we do not have any of the tier 10 crystals yet, but we have everything else, including all of our side rolls. Lightning is primarily going to be a dodge tank, otherwise she's not good for a whole lot else.
Yeah, her versatility kinda comes to bite you in the ass when the specialization-heavy post-game starts up.
Yeah, I mean, she's not a bad synergist if, like a Hope and Lightning with Fang is not bad, but it gets the job done.
Speaking of Hope...
And yes, Hope is secretly the straight-up best saboteur in the entire goddamn game. He gets every debuff in only the multi-target variety, so he doesn't even fuck around trying to hit with like a single person with something.
This is where all the masses of people who read my massive post about secondary classes are all like, well, duh! You know, all of those masses of people.
Fang is all about Ravager, assuming that we ever actually bother to use her. She has all the Ra's, all the strikes, and she even has Eroga. She's surprisingly good at it for not being a Ravager.
Yeah, Fang is a pretty great Ravager, although mostly because it just combines so well with all the other shit that she can do. And hey, she's got the Ra buffs, which are actually quite rare.
Yeah, her and Vanilla are the only ones that get them. Saz, unfortunately, is pretty bad at everything, honestly. He makes an okay Sentinel because of his huge HP, but that's really about it. Even the magic of side rolls doesn't do much for him.
Although he's very good for perfectly legitimately grinding all those monies.
Yes, he is.
Oh well. I guess Snow is still just take hits and punch things.
Yeah, he makes a good side medic, actually. He gets Cura very, very early.
Ah yes. I remember.
But yeah, other than that, yeah, no. Snow is not good for any of them, because all of his sub-jobs are magic-based, and, yeah.
So what's Vanille good for?
Again, pretty much the same thing as, Snow. Not much aside from her basic stuff. Again, she does get the Ra's at the very, very end of Synergist, but that's... yeah.
So our post-game dream team...
is, unsurprisingly, Lightning, Fang, and Hope.
Well... Hey! You have 6 trapezohedrons.
I do, again, which I 100% legitimately went and grinded out.
Yep. So I guess this is where we have to start talking about ultimate weapons.
Yes, okay, so the ultimate weapons for everybody. It's technically, you can turn any of their weapons into the ultimate weapon, and it will retain the properties of whatever you use to reach that point.
Technically they're like 6 or 8 or however many it is different weapons that all end up being a different weapon that's called the same thing. And mercifully, they all count towards the stupid goddamn achievement for getting every item in the game. You don't have to get all 6 things that are called the same thing, which is weird, but again, merciful.
And the other very important thing of note is that just having an ultimate weapon equipped will give you a 6th ATB bar.
Yeah, that's where you get it from.
Right, so where were we?
I think there was something about, 17 missions worth of content presented in 35 missions worth of man-hours.
Oh, right, yes, that's where we were. And, there was a big, red dude who was kicking our shit in.
Well, it's been a lot of numbers since that day.
And the sad thing is that he is still extremely dangerous and really not meant to be fought fairly, even with all of our big new numbers.
Yeah, for real. Well, we are only, like, level 9's worth of bullshit. Which is...
Well, that wasn't scary at all.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Well, that was a 12-minute fight over in 11 seconds.
Mm-hmm. That is how you are supposed to do that fight, because, frankly, the alternative is getting the vast majority of the tier 10 crystals, and boy, howdy, are those expensive.
Yeah, for the secondary rolls, they cost, like, what is it, like hundreds of thousands?
60 and 120 for abilities.
Yeah, that's ludicrous. For reference, the CP you get from killing Adamantoids is 40k?
Somewhere in there? It's about right.
Yeah. So, let's talk about farming Adamantoids. Because that's what the game expects you to do if you're not going to use blatant hacks. Most of the stuff, the great dirty secret of the post-game is that for all the show that they put on about the weapon upgrading system and there's always different stuff and you've got to put it through levels of it, really, it all comes down to grind money. Because eventually you just have to buy components. And all the components are basically the same thing, and there's the one component that's the best component that you need to upgrade things, and you buy that from a shop and it's expensive, but you put it in your items and you get good stuff out of it. It's the reactor? I want something reactor.
The ultra compact reactor.
Yeah, that's the one.
It is the best one. It is also like it's like a couple thousand gil a pop.
Yeah.
And you will frequently need like 99 of them at a time.
Yep. So to get all this money, you basically have to farm Adamantoises for platinum ingots, which sell for 150k, and drop how many percent of the time?
Far too little.
For real. I mean, even at, like, ludicrous max levels, it's still a pretty sizable time investment to kill an Adamantoid. It's not trivial. Like, not even slightly trivial. And yet they do not drop money 100% of the time, or even 50% of the time, or I think even 20% of the time. So you just have to keep on fighting them, and eventually they'll drop one of the goddamn things, and it will get you maybe a couple upgrades for all its...
Yeah, like you'll eventually you will get a platinum ingot, which you will sell, and it will get you like maybe 20, 30 ultra compact reactors. Which is of course saying nothing, because you still need to buy also all the organic materials to pump up the multiplier for it.
Although at least those are cheap. I mean, you can buy grind claws for basically nothing. Of course, the real... well, there are several real dick moves here, but one of the real dick moves is that you can't actually see what the thresholds are for how high you can level up your stuff. So, if you just throw 99 ultra compact reactors at your weapon, you'd be like, hey, you got 99 levels, but the cap is 27, so, well, I guess you just wasted a whole bunch of ultra compact reactors. Fuck you! So you'd think you could counteract that by just doing it one thing at a time, but if you do that, then you'll lose the precious EXP multiplier on your weapon, and you'll have to buy more shit, and you'll lose anyway. The only way to know is to look it all up in a guide beforehand. That's game design.
Now, to be fair, there is a general level scheme. So, like, all of the tier 1 weapons, they max out at roughly 20. Some of them are 20, some of them are 25, But it's in that general area. And the tier 2s are roughly 40, 45. But still, that's something you're only going to learn by doing it and wasting your stuff, so...
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So, yeah, and it gets better. If you want 100% this game, you have to get that goddamn stupid fucking shitty fucking goddamn achievement for having found one of every item in the game. I feel good about poking around all the various places and finding all the treasure spheres. You can get a pretty good chunk of stuff, but let's face it, you're going to have to grind out upgrades to get most of, well, everything. So, once again, huge amount of time and money investment. Like, I'm sure someone somewhere has figured out the number that represents the absolute minimum amount of money that you need. Divide that by 150k, and multiply by, 100 over whatever the actual drop rate of platinum ingots is, and you will have a very high number of hours. So, have fun with that.
Yeah, just seriously, don't do it. Just don't do it.
As I think I have said several times already, if you try and beat this game legitimately, then you failed. The game has beaten you in a way that you will never be able to take back. It's like having that achievement that some fighting games have for losing so many times in a row. It's a permanent black mark on your gaming record. You're not getting rid of it. You will never live down the fact that you actually try to do it legit. It will be 80 or however many hours of your life that you are not getting back. Really, the only way to win at the game is to do what you've done, and employ gleefully all of the hacks, and just say fuck you to Square Enix.
Now, all of that said, not all of it is 100% necessary. You do not need, for example, to get ultimate weapons, unless you are going for the absolute deepest part of the post-game.
Change of plan.
Well, I was talking about getting that goddamn fucking achievement.
Well, yes, but that's...
Again, yeah.
But it all comes back to the same thing, though.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all just numbers going up. If you just want to clear optional missions, then sure, you can do without.
Alright, it's only the absolute deepest part of the game that demands that you go out and do all the grinding.
I mean, even the ultimate weapons themselves aren't actually that hard to get, really, in the greater scheme of things. If only because, if you're gonna be starting to farm money anyway, eventually, at some point, one of the adamantoises is going to drop a trapezohedron, because that's one of the ways to get them, is they're a super rare drop from adamantoises. The other way is, of course, to buy them from one of the shops for a ludicrous amount of money, which, hey, you lose again, sucker.
Yeah, you say, just for reference, when we say ludicrous, we are talking 2 million gil for one.
So if you have all the ultimate weapons, and you're grinding for money, and you kill an adamantoise, and hey, it's a drop, but hey, it's a trapezohedron. Oh, I don't need it anymore, I guess I'll just sell it. I can get a pretty sweet deal for that. I mean, buy them for 2 million. Nope. They sell for like, what, like 50,000?
It's a very small number for how much they cost, yes.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, completely missing the point, because what you're supposed to do is upgrade 1 to the ultimate weapon, and then you can dismantle it and get 3 traps back.
Yeah, the dismantling thing actually gets somewhat gamey at this point.
really, in the long run, you really only have to get that first one. But still.
Well, in the time it takes you to get all the money that you need to do this other crap, you're probably going to get 6 anyway. But yes, it's a small mercy that all the ultimate weapons basically take up the same slots in the great big database of items for some reason. So once you've got one for a character you don't intend to use, you can just dismantle it. And hey, I guess if you're clever enough, you can use 2 of the ones that you get to do the other guy's weapons. And you can basically get all the weapons out of, well, 6 out of 1.
Yeah, of course, that requires you to grind up somebody else's weapon to an ultimate weapon and dismantle that, and that's a whole lot of components to throw away.
Yep.
Because then if you do want one, you'll have to go, because if you do, like say you want Snow's ultimate weapon to actually use, you'll then have to turn around and grind him up a new one on a different weapon.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. One of the actual interesting uses of Dismantle is that it's the only actual way that you can get more elixirs, is by fully leveling up a Doctor's Code and dismantling it, and you get an elixir for that. And of course, elixirs being the only item that you can use in battle that restores TP, well, that's not nothing.
Of course, that said, there are very few points of the game where you really need to restore TP. Like, Orphan is probably the biggest one, because it lets you have more renews ready for when you inevitably get dropped down to like 5% health on everybody.
Oh yes, here we go. 25% the drop rate of platinum ingots, and 1% the drop rate of trapezohedrons. So that's nice. I forget, have you done all of the Circle of Seafstone missions yet?
I have not, no.
Oh well. Well, I guess we'll have one final fuck you to talk about after we show what that does. But I can assure you it's mechanically very irritating.
So, Gilgamesh Inc. is, I believe, the final shop in the game? But it is where you can buy all of the rarest and most... I don't want to say most powerful, because, again, power is very relative in this game, but it's where you get the rarest and the best weapons.
Well, or at least the level 1 versions of them. Like, I forget, is there a whole bunch of stuff that you can only buy there?
There is at least one for every person that you can only buy there.
Are they at least good? Well, don't answer that.